Welcome to Pokemon from Scratch, a sealed only challenge where with a budget of $30 a week, we will attempt to build a competitive deck using only the cards we obtain from buying sealed products. And the rules are simple, no trading and no buying singles allowed. Our goal is to ultimately qualify for the Pokemon World Championships using only these cards. Make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with this challenging competitive journey. Now let's get started. So, welcome back guys. In the last episode, we opened up the Pokemon Toolkit and drastically increased our deck's consistency with the likes of the Dene and Speed Energy, as well as giving our deck the ability to target down bench Pokemon with Boss's Order. So next up on the list, we need to increase the options in attackers that we have available to us because all we have right now is Pikarom and a Alolan Raichu and Raichu tag team. Therefore, we should aim to pick up Vikavolt Vs and Bolton Vs and maybe Tapu Koko Vs as well. In addition, we need to get Big Charms too to stop our Pikaroms from being one-shotted and pick up counter stadiums that we can use. So the ideal product we need is the new Darkness Ablaze blister packs that comes with 2 packs for the price of 1. Unfortunately, mine won't be arriving until next week, so for now we'll be opening a Zacian Tin. So do note, this product comes with 5 packs, but 2 packs are from sets that are not standard legal. We will only focus on the standard format for this challenge because it's almost impossible for us to financially obtain sealed products from sets that were printed 5 to 10 years ago that contain cards that are still used in the expanded format today. That being said, any cards that we pull from packs that aren't standard legal but are worth at least $1 or more, we will add that value to our budget for next week to use on other products. Alright, now that that's done, let's get started. So here it is, the almighty Zacian Tin, coming in at $25, which brings our budget to exactly $0. Feels good to finally be out of the negatives. Opening our tin, we're greeted by our boy Zacian himself. This card would be nice to have if we ever need additional first turn draw power or if we feel the need to start building a metal deck. For our packs, we'll have 2 Rebels Clash, 1 Sword and Shield, 1 Burning Shadows, and 1 Evolution. So starting out with our non-standard set, let's crack open Evolutions. Here's a code for y'all. And first off, we see a... Check out Pokemon Go if you haven't already, it's so funny. And wow, starting off with a Blastoise EX. Let's go Squirtle gang. Alright, next off is Burning Shadows. Another code card for you guys. And here we got a Wimpod, a Alolan, Magikarp, Pansear, Cutiefly, Electivire, and wow, a Machamp GX, that's 2 hits in a row for unusable cards. Now, onto our legal sets. Starting off with Sword and Shield, we got a Metal Elephant, Baltoy, Sandit, a Magical Unicorn, Durant as our rare, and nice, an Evolution Incense. Not really any hits here though. So moving on to Rebels Clash, we got Toxel, Mr. Mime, Snover, Pidove, Ice Monkey, and wow, nice, a Rillaboom VMAX. We can't use this at all, but it'll look nice and pretty next to our Cinderace VMAX. And for our last pack, we have Vulpix, some Condensed Milk, Farfetch, Metal Meowth, OG Caterpie, Indeedee, and Galarian Darmanitan as our rare. Not much else for the rest of the pack, though. So looking through our deck, we didn't pull any cards that we could update our deck with. However, I will be adding an energy spinners that we got from the Trainer's Toolkit into our deck. It'll be a nice way to access energy with Jirachi since I suck at drawing energies for some reason. We will take our 2 P-Gears, not Vitality Band, for them since we don't really need so many ways to get into our supporters. The recording was kinda outdated since I kinda changed my mind after recording it because after thinking about it some more, Vitality Band will be more useful in helping us 2-shotting VMAXs. And with that out the way, let's get into some games. So game 1, we're up against Salamanc's VMAX. Luckily for us, he starts out with the Dene GX. Using Quick Ball, he grabs Salaman's V but doesn't do much else. This is good for us because he is unable to set up any Porygons. Our hand though looks really bad, so I'm just going to detonate and hopefully get into some Professor's Research and some other search cards. We get Research, a Switch, and a Jirachi, and our Jirachi gets us into a Radar, so we're actually looking pretty good right now. Unfortunately for us though, our research didn't get us into an energy switch, so we'd be unable to perform the turn 1 full blitz. So we'll pop Tapu Koko and pass here. Our opponent still has a chance to knock out our Pikarom if he finds his VMAX, triple acceleration energy, and a boss's order. On our opponent's turn, we finally see the Porygon come up as well as the Salmon's VMAX, and thankfully see a Professor's Research. That means he won't be able to knock out our Pikarom this turn. He attaches to the bench and attacks with Sonic Double, but that doesn't really matter since he can one-shot all our guys in the first place. So he should have just left it to detonate inactive. Going back to us, we can take the KO on his VMAX since we have the Vitality Band in hand and can hit for weakness. We find a Marnie with Pokégear, which we'll opt to use since we don't need anything else and allows a little bit more hand disruption to hinder the opponent. We proceed to KO his Salmon's VMAX and fully charge up our Raichu for the preceding turn. At this point, the game is basically over because I can take a revenge knockout on Salmon's VMAX regardless of what he does with Raichu. So we see the second VMAX come out to KO our Pikarom, and here we promote Zapdos with the Air Balloon, use Marnie for no reason, and win with Tandem Shock. Next game, we see that we're up against v.II. Unfortunately for us, we start out with the Dene GX and a pretty bad hand, but it seems our opponent isn't doing much either with just an energy attachment, Mine, and a fat pass. Mine is a pretty big problem for our deck because our deck doesn't run any counter stadiums since we haven't pulled any useful ones, which means it'll be sticking here for the rest of the game. Our hand was unplayable, so we drop a research to get 7 new cards. We get Pikarom and Quick Ball for the Dene GX. We then use the Energy Spinner for 3 energies to thin out our deck as much as possible to hopefully hit into more of our useful cards before the item lock comes down. I made a mistake here by not discarding Reset Stamp instead of an energy, since item lock makes stamps pretty difficult to use. We pop the Tapu Koko here, but I won't be grabbing Alolan Raichu with Radar since I don't want to be discarding any more energies. Here we see the Research being played down immediately and the second energy coming down. Then he plays the Crushing Hammer, and of course he gets heads, so we won't be able to attack next turn due to item lock. So coming to us, we're just going to attach and Marnie here and hit the fat pass. Our opponent plays another hammer and hits yet another heads, and now I'm just sad. Luckily for us, Marnie gets us into more energies, but he plays another hammer, hits another heads, and now I'm contemplating my existence. Going back to us, we just attach a speed energy and then hit the fat pass. At this point, I may have been a little bit tilted since I should have played Mallow and Lana, but I was greedy thinking I could take another hit. So here we see the punishment from my opponent with the Zigzagoon Scoop Up Net combo that results in the knockout. So bringing up Jirachi, our Stellar Wish shows us boss's order. So seeing our opponent already burned through 2 switches, we bring up the Dene GX to stall for more time by using his Mine against him. He ends up attaching the energy onto the Dene, maybe forgetting about the Mine since attaching to the v.II. would have been better. He then proceeds to finish his turn by throwing down a Marnie. Going back to us, with a speed energy, we finally get our Pikarom charged up again. Using Stellar Wish, we grab a boss's order in case we need it, and we finally hit with Pikarom for the first time. Unfortunately, we can only charge our Raichu with the 1 energy we have left in deck. Back to our opponent plays a speed energy and then another Crushing Hammers, but this time he gets Tails for the first time. He then reveals the Yell Grunt, which makes our turn a bit more tricky by returning the energy from our Pikarom back into our hand. Going into our turn, I reattach the energy to Pikarom and then decide to play Marnie so that I can full blitz for the last energy onto Raichu. Unfortunately, I didn't find any energy switches to get the energy off of the Dene, but we get a Tool Scraper to remove the cape from v.II. So going back to our opponent, he can't knock us out, so he will opt to use the first attack on v.II to item lock us before taking the 2-shot onto our Pikarom. On my turn is a little bit tricky because I can't use Malolana to heal Pikarom since I can't switch back into it, so I'm forced to tackle here just to take the knockout. And bless, we get an energy from our prizes, so our Raichu is now alive. Then our opponent proceeds to show us his coin flipping skills by getting 2 more heads with turbo patches and proceeding to knock out our Pikarom. There's not much else that I can do with my hand, so I'm going to burn as many item cards as I can before the item lock comes down again. I then switch into Raichu before using Marnie to lower our opponent's hand size. Tandem Shock will paralyze the v.II, so he will need a switch and a boss's order in order to win. But going into his turn, as you can see, this man should just buy a lottery ticket. In our final game, we're going against a Bolton deck. Luckily for us, we start with a Jirachi while our opponent starts with a Dedenne GX. We use Energy Spinner to get a Lightning Energy to our hand to discard for Tapu Koko by using the Dedenne GX that we'll grab from the Quick Ball off of Stellar Wish. Our new hand doesn't have much that we can play besides the Speed Energy, so we'll attach here and pass. On to our opponent's turn, he spinners for 3 and then we see the Crushing Hammer, and knowing my luck, of course he gets heads. He high rolls and gets another Energy Spinner, so his discard is fully prepped for Full Voltage GX. After he Dedenne changes, he drops down another Bolton V, and we are now in trouble as he now has a full board of electric energies. Here we whiff the Stellar Wish because there's nothing we needed from that, so we'll switch and try again, and this time we get into the Professor's Research. Our research doesn't lead us into much either, and being unable to find a switching card, I attach the Zapdos to get some preemptive damage and pop the Tapu Koko. The energy attachment onto Jirachi is fine as long as we can find an energy switch later down the line, but we are definitely struggling here. Here we see another Crushing Hammer attempt, but this time thankfully it fails and he proceeds to just knock out our Zapdos. At this point, I bring up our Pikarom because it's all or nothing for the energy switch, so I grab our Raichu, scrape her off the tools, and then the Dedenne GX. We still didn't get it from the Dedenne change, so we'll Quick Ball to thin the deck once more before using Research. Luckily for us, we finally get it so we can full blitz both 8 energies on the opponent's field. Things are looking kinda grim. It's basically up to Raichu at this point as he proceeds to destroy our Pikarom. We promote the Jirachi, stamp our opponent to 2, and I proceed to mess up by clicking Stellar Wish instead of retreating with the Jirachi. Fortunately, I hit a switch, but that's really bad because I needed the switch for later turns. Our opponent just passes, thanks to the paralysis, so we respond with a KO on the Bolton V. Unfortunately for us, our opponent top decks the Quick Ball for Tapu Koko Prism and then knocks us out, so that's game. So closing thoughts, we went 1-2 today, bringing our total record to 4-5. Our energy spinners are playing a nice role in helping us set up, so I like that change, but as we can see from the games, not having access to Big Charm or a counter stadium is hurting us greatly. Our blister packs are coming in next week, so with the double packs, hopefully we can buff up our deck greatly. So stay tuned for that and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you then!